Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I have my new friend, just Juju, here with us today. She is hanging out in her backyard in Florida, enjoying the beautiful weather during quarantine time. Just wanted to catch up with her about some new things she's working on, and also just for us to get to know her a little bit better. So, Judy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
What's up, Katie? Happy Cinco de Mayo!
Hey! What kind of drink is that? What do you have there?
I'm a bartender. No, I'm not a bartender, but it's Cinco de Mayo, so I wanted a little tropical drink today. It's a little strawberry Moscato with passion fruit Smirnoff with some fruits in it, lemon, lime, orange, grapes, and strawberry.
That's amazing. What's on that rim? Because that looks like it.
This is a little strawberry syrup with some sugar.
All right. Look at you. Maybe you should be a bartender too.
Yeah, I should, right?
Yes, absolutely. So Judy is part of the legendary media group that I've been a part of as well too. So this is how we've met each other, and it's been so awesome to get to know her for these last few weeks. But it's not about me for this interview. It's about her. So I want us to get to know Judy a little bit more and tell us what she's working on coming up for her projects and what she's got cooking for 2020.
Well, I know we're all in quarantine right now, but we are staying productive. My name is Judy. I'm from Queens, New York. I live in Orlando now, but, and you could call me just Juju for short.
Show them that hat, girl.
Just Juju, hashtag just Juju. Yeah, right now I am currently working on a podcast slash, show showcasing everything from my perspective, being a girl from Queens, New York. It's going to be just me giving my commentary on things that are going on. I'm going to be running around the city, going to different places, and also talking to my friends that are doing things, restaurants, musical artists. We're talking about social issues, politics. I don't want to say politics, but social issues, relationships. We're going to be talking about a lot of different stuff, but mainly it's going to showcase my love of music, me talking to my friends that are having upcoming projects, entrepreneurship, just a lot of different things, but mostly music. I love hip hop music, and a lot of that comes from my upbringing in Queens, New York. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
Awesome. I cannot wait to tune in and check out all your work. So speaking of Queens, we talked a little bit about how you have transplanted from Queens to New York, to Orlando. But I just want to know a little bit about your childhood in Queens and what's kind of influenced you to get into this industry now.
Well, some people know that from a young age, I've always been into music. I've been into dancing. I started off at about 6 or 7 years old. My mom enrolled me in dance school in Queens, and I danced in dance school for about 8 years until high school. And so I've always been interested in the arts, and as far as like acting and music and things like that. I kind of strayed away from it just because, it wasn't practical at the time. But yeah, that was always something that I was interested in doing. So right now I'm actually a nurse. That's what I do by trade. But, I also have a creative side. So that's why I'm delving more into that right now.
That's so awesome. So seeing as New York, it literally is just a breeding ground for all different kinds of talent. Was there anybody that was in the city or, that was born and raised there, or anybody that you looked up to get inspiration? When you're younger, you're starting in dance class, like 7, 8 years old, you're in this school doing all this stuff. Like, was there anybody that you looked up to that you wanted to be like, I want to be them one day?
I don't know if it was anybody from Queens that I wanted to be like or emulate. I know that when I was a child, I used to watch Janet Jackson videos over and over again and copy the choreography. And we even had to do some of her choreography in dance class. So I was a big Janet Jackson fan. Also, like, as far as like hip hop, you know, New York is known for hip hop. Queens hip hop is very big. So I was always into like Nas, Run DMC, LL, all of the Queens artists that you know. But of course, one of the biggest Queens artists would be like Nicki Minaj. And I'm not a rapper, but I admire her hustle. I admire like what she's accomplished coming from Southside Jamaica, Queens. So yeah, that's somebody that is I would say an icon coming from Queens. So yeah, I wouldn't say definitely like everything that she does as far as like artistically, because I don't rap, but as an artist, I definitely do think that she's somebody to look up to aspire to get to that type of level.
Absolutely. And I think too, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, off camera, but just the idea of having like these neighborhood kids, you know, like she could grow up a few streets down from you, or LL could, you know, live in the house that you lived in or whatever. And I feel like that's such a great part of the culture in New York, is that you have unlimited talent there. It's just how far you push yourself and how big you become doing that. So listen, you could be a backup dancer for Janet because she's still performing, or you could be the next Janet, you know.
Girl, I don't know. I don't know about that part, but I don't know. I'm a little rusty with the dancing, but I can still, you know, cut a rug here and there. But I don't know about a backup dancer, but that we definitely could dream.
All right. Well, backup dancer, or maybe Nikki's going to have a remix that you could be featured on. I'm like, you never know.
Rapping?
No. We'll get you singing the chorus or something. She can do the
rapping. I'll be in the background just bopping my head. Yeah.
You're like, I'll be one of the video chicks just in the back. Like, what's up? Yes. Video vixen Juju over here. I love it.
Oh, Lord. Lord, no.
Speaking of your time in New York, like what was your most memorable childhood experience that you had there? And it could be good, bad, or indifferent, but just growing up there and having a big family, you know, what really was the most memorable thing that stuck out that you're like, this changed my life?
Changed my life.
Well, maybe not change your life, but had a huge impact.
You know, growing up, you never really appreciate like where you're from. And a lot of people, and I don't want to say just people from like middle America or people from like small towns, but just people that didn't necessarily grow up in a big city. Because I grew up in Queens, which is a borough of New York City. That's a hotbed for talent. You know, people either go to New York or LA if they want to break into any kind of artistic industry, media, music. So these are the major cities that people aspire to get to and make it happen. And I grew up in that city. So I definitely would say seeing the people in the neighborhood that actually got themselves to a certain platform. So that was inspiring. As far as changing my life, I don't know. As far as changing my life, I think you go into every stage of life with new transformations. That's the way I look at things. There's a phase for everything. And I just think that you're constantly evolving. So I just think that there wasn't one particular thing. I think graduating from nursing school was a major change for me, because it wasn't initially what I wanted to do as a child, but it was something that I realized that if I set my mind to something and try to master it, that I could actually succeed. So yeah, that changed my life, because it wasn't something that I thought that I would necessarily be good at, just because it was in my family. You know, my mom was a nurse, and then, you know, my grandmother was a nurse, and I grew up with a lot of nurses in my family. So it wasn't something that I was necessarily thinking that I would be gifted at doing, but I accomplished it, and it changed my life because I have a stable career.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we're going to have you be, a singing, dancing nurse, going on location, doing interviews.
I do sing for my patients, and I dance.
See, but that makes all the difference, because you have a good bedside manner. So, you know, when you talk about helping people and making a difference in the world, it can be anywhere from the arts to healthcare to whatever it is. I just feel like your personality itself is that you love to help people. So it's nice.
I do.
Yeah. So with that being said, about a little bit of New York, you are now in Florida. So huge changes from like city to suburb. life, right? It's suburban. I mean, you're close to Orlando, if not in Orlando, but what was it like for you to leave that, neighborhood vibe where you kind of knew everybody, the ins and outs of the city, and like, what was the biggest challenge that you experienced during your move?
Accepting that it was a big culture shock for me. I won't lie. I've been down in Florida for about I want to say 14 since 2014, the top of 2014. So it's 2020 now, so roughly about 6 years in and out. But definitely, it was a big culture shock for me. Growing up north, it's a little bit in New York. It's a little bit more fast paced. It's like you don't want to say the normal cliche things to say, but it was faster. It was a lot, the hustle and bustle of the city. It definitely was a slowdown for me, and I was definitely like, well, this is not like New York. This is not like New York. This is different. This is it was adjusting to a different quality of life, which is a great quality. Don't get me wrong. I've learned to love Florida, but in the beginning, I was kind of like, I don't know if I could do this. This is not what I'm used to.
You're doing it. Yes. So, no, which is so awesome, because I just feel like being in colder climates to now kind of a tropical vibe, going from city to suburban life, there's so many different changes. And especially moving in adulthood, I feel is different totally than moving in childhood, where you kind of are forced to adapt. But making such a big change to, physically pack up, move your entire life and create yourself in adulthood, it takes a lot for sure. So, yeah, like you said, it's definitely cultural difference. Every vibe, I feel like, is very different in Florida. So,
yeah. Well, one good thing about Orlando is that it's a big tourist city. We get people from all over the world to come to Disney. So you do get a lot of different cultures. But of course, everybody knows New York is the melting pot. And I grew up in a city that you can't recreate that wherever you go. No matter where you go in America, you're not going to get that same New York vibe. It's not possible. I just don't feel it. I don't get it when I go to different cities. And I grew up in Queens, which is also known as one of the most diverse boroughs in New York. So I grew up with a lot of different cultures, ethnicities. My block was like the United Nations.
That's awesome, though.
It really was.
Yes, but that makes you appreciate so many different cultures. I mean, you could literally walk out of the steps of your house and you have an Indian food store, a Jamaican food store,
I love Indian
Chinese food, all of these different things. You could have everything all there because everybody in that neighborhood represents all of these places. So
definitely.
Yeah, so I think it's so incredible to have all of that. And of course, like you said, definitely it changes, in terms of the whole vibe of the neighborhood, but it's nice to know that you still have that touch of culture down in Orlando that you might feel like you're missing out if you had moved to like Idaho or somewhere totally random where there's not a lot of culture, so.
No shade to Idaho.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. No, I did an interview with my friend, and I was like, hey, if you were to take one state out of the U.S., what would you do? And she's like, I'm going to do Idaho, because, you only know them for potatoes. Like, no shade.
Not North Dakota or South Dakota?
Right. She was like, somewhere in that region. She's like, I guess I'll go with Idaho, but it's the same thing. I don't know. So, it's always nice to have that culture, the arts, the music scene. And I think once you get out there and your show really is in the pipeline, once outside opens up, going on location, talking to people, entrepreneurs, all that stuff, you're going to realize how cultural Orlando really is, which is a nice thing for people that only come to Disney or only come to different parts of Florida, maybe don't even go to Orlando, to see what Orlando is really about. It's not just about the amusement parks, Orlando having, or Kissimmee or whatever, having Disney, having Universal, SeaWorld, all that stuff. Like, people live in Orlando year round. People want to be able to know what Orlando's about. Small distractions. It's totally
a little distraction.
No
But yeah.
worries. Yes, no worries. But no, it's good to know because I've only been to Disney a handful of times, but I don't know the vibe there. I don't know the culture. So I can't wait to tune in so you can introduce me to it a little bit better. So
Yeah, definitely, Katie. You're gonna be like my new BFF. Listen, you need to come down. I'm gonna show you Orlando. We're gonna go to Disney. We're gonna go to Universal.
yes,
I'm gonna show you how they do it in Orlando.
good. The
Orlando,
real
don't
way.
sleep on Orlando.
I know I was supposed to be coming to Fort Myers. Actually Memorial Day. I was flying down there for a few days, but my flight got canceled. So, you know, I'm overdue for a trip to Florida, so I'm gonna have to make my way to Orlando as well. So
Girl, it's 90 degrees right now, and ooh, I'm sweating, but I love it. It's
Get
Cinco
that
de
free.
Mayo.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere but here, but
Yes, and it was like 70s here and then 40 yesterday and then 40s today. So I'm like, you know, welcome to New England. I don't
I
know.
love it.
It's crazy. I don't.
Go Giants. No, Patriots.
Yes,
No,
Patriots.
Giants. Giants. I'm still in New York. Listen, I still rep New York, okay?
Of course, it's always going to be in your blood. It doesn't matter where
Always.
you go. Yes, but Patriots for me, but I can respect the Giants, absolutely. So you had talked a little bit about being a nurse and everything that's going on in the world right now. How have you been affected by COVID-19? I know it's kind of a deep question. We were talking about lighthearted, get to know you, but I'm curious to see how this has affected you being in the healthcare industry. Take another sip, girl.
Let me take a sip on that, Katie. We got to take another one.
Yes, absolutely. Do 3 in a row just so you feel good. Got to balance it out with an odd number.
How has COVID affected my life in healthcare and personally? But we'll talk about healthcare first, being that that's my profession. It affected me a lot, we discussed prior to the interview. I was in New York last year. I was doing travel nursing. I was doing contracts in New York because, I miss New York and I wanted to go back and reconnect and do a couple of things. So I was in New York and I left back in December, and I left in the nick of time.
Yes, you most certainly did. Absolutely.
I left in the nick of time. My last contract ended in December. And, I just woke up one day and I was just like, I miss Florida. It's 20 degrees outside. I looked out the window and I was like, I got to get the hell up out of here. And it was a week before Christmas and I was like, I got to get the hell out of here. Something don't feel right.
Yes, you felt it in your bones. Like this
I felt it,
yep.
And I hightailed it out of New York. But, so I've been doing telehealth right now. As far as what I'm doing right now, I haven't been necessarily in the hospital on the front lines. I was taking a break personally and also professionally because I'm trying to focus my energies into, my show, the projects that I'm working on right now. So yeah, I wanted to take a little bit step back out of nursing, but I've been paying attention to everything that's been going on. And I have to say, it's a little disheartening. I love nursing. I went into nursing because I wanted to help people, not for money, not for, just a stable career. I do have a love for nursing. I do genuinely have a love for caring about others. What I've learned from this whole COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic is that there are a lot of cracks in the healthcare system. There's a lot of things going on that now a light has been shined, as far as in the beginning with not having enough equipment, PPE. Like this was an ongoing theme in nursing. We never have enough equipment.
Even before Corona hit the US. Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We never had enough equipment, but then it got highlighted. It got blown wide open when you have people dying and you can't protect the nurses or the doctors or the respiratory therapists and the physical therapists. They don't have equipment. So how are they going to care for people when they can't go in and have the proper equipment? So yeah, it was a little bit of a wake-up call. It was very scary. And, I personally decided, well, also with my family, and I'll get into that, in a minute, but it wasn't it wasn't something that I felt like I could necessarily lend my whole attention to, just because it just didn't sit right with me. A lot of the things that were going on, and for my own health, physically, medically, and spiritually and mentally, it was just too much. It was a lot. And then it started hitting close to home. And that's what the turning point for me is, when it started hitting close.
And that's when you decide it's healthy to take a break. And thankfully you have the opportunity to do that, being a traveling nurse.
Yes.
You know, I appreciate all the efforts, you know, even pre-corona and all that, of what you do, because nurses don't get enough recognition. So thank you. You know, even just being a new friend and only knowing you in the entertainment industry world, but knowing you that really in your blood, you are a nurse through and through, even if you're not, you know, physically
third generation.
Yes. Yes. Like you said, your mom and your grandmother, you know, so even if you're not in scrubs today, that doesn't mean that nursing ever stops. So thank you for that. You know, and I think
for that. Thank you.
Of course, absolutely. And I think it's nice for you having that insider information to give to us, that things that are dysfunctional in healthcare really do need to be highlighted right now. So the lack of equipment for PPE and not having proper resources across the board, or, you know, even we could get into totally separate issues, but, you know, issues with insurance or, you know, coverage, all of those different things. These are things that need to be talked about, because this is something that is severely dysfunctional with our healthcare system. And it's not for the lack of the nurses, the doctors, or anybody that's trying to save. It is the hospitals, the insurance companies, everybody that, you know, the government has money and people are dangling in front of, or, you know,
the suit and ties.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the ones that are running the show. And unfortunately, you know, people aren't getting recognized until right now, where people really are recognizing nurses and everybody else in the healthcare industry, from the people that come in and they take your food trays away and they clean your sheets and all of that stuff. These people are the unsung heroes, and they're finally getting the recognition. Yes. They need to get this recognition, and they need to get the proper pay. Yes. Yes. Thank you for that clap. And I'll clap back to you, because you're amazing for what you do. And thank you for even continuing, even if you're not patient facing, that you're still continuing this by doing telehealth, because I think it's so important for people to be at home. And, you know, there's a whole mental health issue that's going on right now. Take another sip, girl, because you need it.
Cinco.
Yes, it's a Cinco Drinko. But, you know,
drink up. No.
Drinko de Mayo. But, you know, there's a lot of mental health out there that, you know, people are really uneasy and scared about going to the doctors because they're scared of exposure. So you're still continuing your job no matter what capacity it's in. So thankfully you have that opportunity to do that. And I appreciate you. That's all you need to know.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Katie. I love you. You're like, your energy. I love everything that you're doing. And that's why I wanted to do this with you. So I appreciate it too. I really do. So
thank you. No, I love you. I was like, who can I have an interview with? And I'm like, you know, I'm like, there's certain personalities that just shine. And the moment literally you logged onto that Zoom call, I was like, that's my girl. And I said the same thing to Gabe. I'm like, the energy, you know, we have such a good group. I'm like, the energy is here. Everybody's super supportive. I know, say hi to all of them. But
legendary media group peoples. What's up? What's happening?
Yeah. So we're gonna have to do like a Zoom reunion show and get us all on here and interview each other.
Lord.
Yes. Show. But no, I just think it's so great because I loved your energy. Literally the moment that you came on here, I'm like, no, she knows her shit. She's about it. She's real. She's transparent. Like I never got that vibe of like, I'm trying to show up and show out. I'm here to learn. I'm here to grow, but I'm going to give you my personality 100%. So
thank you.
Yes, of course.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So with that being said, current nurse, getting into industry, are there any takeaways actually from your healthcare background that you feel that you could transition into this new career path? I know it's kind of an interesting.
It's very a great question, Katie. You're listen. Katie has the good questions, but definitely a big theme in nursing is time management.
Yes. Yep.
Any nurse will tell you, you gotta be on time with your meds. You gotta be on time to give report. Everything is time. There's a time to do, time to assess your patient. So yeah, time management is definitely something that I could take away from nursing, among a lot of different things. But time management and setting little goals for myself during the day. Like I need to get this done by this amount of, like, by this time. And that's something that I utilize in nursing that I can utilize in any other industry, in any other field. So yeah, time management. Because time waits for nobody. Or
exactly.
no one.
Doesn't wait for anybody, anything. It just comes and goes as it pleases.
Yeah.
Yeah, but having that foundation is so key. And like you said, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, but having that time management. So, I've been having fun with my rapid questions, but I was like, I was like, my rapid questions aren't so rapid. People have been thinking, and what I thought would be a 3-minute segment is now turning into 10 minutes. And then with Gabe yesterday, turned into 40 minutes. I'm like, what?
Gabe.
Yeah, we had just way too much fun. That's why I was like,
I loved it. I loved it. I was like, yes, I don't know, because Katie, with your questions, listen, I'm game. So
good.
I'm game.
All right, so I'll have to ask you a random question or two at the end of this, but please know that you are coming back for random question time at a later date. So be prepared.
Okay.
Yes,
okay, good.
I won't hit you with all of them today because that's part of this will go on for like 3 hours, this interview. So I'm like, you're going to have to like double fist 2 different drinks for the random question section.
Oh, Lord.
Yes, I know. I'm like, this is crazy. But I'm absolutely loving it. So yeah, foundation is huge though, having the time management and goal setting. So I think having that and knowing when to cut your interviews short and being able to adapt to all of those needs that you might have. Because like I said, I tried to do it, but I was having so much fun that I'm like, no, I'm going to let the camera roll. I'm going to keep talking with Gabe. I'm going to have this 40-minute interview, and hopefully people will just have fun and watch all of it and laugh the entire time. But yeah, I'm in my personal and other work life, I'm super time managed to a T. But it's in interviewing here, I got to hone in a little bit on. So I might have to borrow some advice from you later.
Oh, Lord. Listen, I'm always willing to help and receive feedback and any kind of, good constructive criticism. So, but me, like, I think you got it. You and Gabe really showed out yesterday. So everybody should definitely check out Gabe and Katie. Gabe and Katie, that might be the new stuff.
Judy and Katie, yes, we'll have our own show. Oh,
Judy, yes.
All right, so I noticed on your social media, it is Haitian Heritage Month. So tell me, how are we celebrating this? What are you going to be doing this month? Because the month's just getting started.
Eating Haitian food. No.
Well, that's going to be without a doubt.
Food.
Yes. I said that's going to be without a doubt. You're going to be eating Haitian food, but outside is opening up finally in Florida. Bans are being lifted, so you can go out, whether or not you really feel safe enough to do it. But there has to be some kind of turn up, whether it's in the house, in the backyard, wherever. So what are you doing to celebrate?
One thing about Haitian Heritage Month, and I'm not gonna profess to be like the Bender's Haitian, like my Creole is like perfect, and I could piece together a conversation and have a good conversation in Creole, but like, because I was born here. But like, what Haitian Heritage Month means to me is just knowing where you're from, appreciating your culture. A lot of Haitian groups do like festivals, now with everything that's going on with quarantine and everything like that. But yes, they're starting to open up. They have like these big festivals where people have like different restaurants come out, different acts come out, perform, and it's like a lot of a good commerce type of situation where you have people selling product, and it's good. Those are the type of things that we do during Haitian Heritage Month, and I love to take part. I love festivals. I love I love those what do you call them, the market, not the flea market, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes. I'm like, why can't I even think? I'm like,
I know it might be this drink.
Yeah.
Listen.
And I'm like, and I just can't think at all during quarantine. My brain's been a little squishy, but no, I think it's amazing to have that sense of community wherever you are in the world, because there's clusters like here on Cape Cod where I have been right now. There's a big Brazilian population. And then going back to Boston, you have
Orlando too.
Really?
Yeah. Orlando has a huge Brazilian. I didn't even realize it until I moved to Orlando. I didn't realize that Orlando has a lot of Brazilian people. Like all of those Brazilian restaurants. I love Brazilian food. Do you like Brazilian? Are you?
I'm such a picky eater. That's going to be a whole nother show to talk about, because I'm so picky. I have very intense dietary restrictions because my stomach.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, yeah. That otherwise, I'd be having a drink with you, but I'd probably have to run away in 2 minutes.
Oh no. But Brazilian food I love. But yeah, Orlando's big in Brazil. But Cape Cod, I didn't know that about the Cape Cod.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's grown probably, I would say, in the last 20 years. So it's just interesting to see where you have it, but it's nice to have that sense of community wherever you're far away from home. I mean, we have people that I work with that are Haitian, that came from Haiti or first generation. And just because they live here, they never seem to lose that sense of their pride from their home country, and they still have family there and all that stuff. And it's just nice to see that there is that sense of having that feeling of home, even if you're not home. And like you said, you were born here, but you could have your parents or your grandparents born in Haiti and still celebrating it here in the US and having that. And I think that's the beautiful thing about the US, as messed up as we are right now and as divided as we are.
We messed up, girl.
We are very messed up and very divided at this time. Ooh. But, you know, and when you talked about your neighborhood being like the UN, I was cracking up because my mom always says that about me. She's like, your group of friends is like the UN. You have somebody from every country, every part of this world that
That's
you're friends
dope,
with.
though.
Right. But I'm like, if I were to just stick with like all the Beckys and Karens, where do you think I'd be?
No, don't cut. She's talking about Becky. Listen, I didn't never call anybody Karen in my life other than my cousin. My cousin who's Haitian, her name is Karen Laurent. The same last name. She's black and she's Haitian. I don't know no Karen.
But I'm like, what kind of cultural experience would I get if I've been hanging out with Becky's and Karens?
It makes you well-rounded. That's what
absolutely. And I think that's so nice for everybody to have that experience. You know, even though you have such strong communities, like I'm talking about like a Haitian community or Brazilian community or Orlando, it's always so nice to be able to meet other people. I have a good friend that lives in Orlando, and she's from the Bronx, and she's from Puerto Rico, or she is Puerto Rican, you know, and just having that sense of wherever you go in the world. I mean, you two could link up and you're like, yeah, we're two different like heritages, but we're friends. At the end of the day, we're all human.
Half my family is Puerto Rico. My brothers have, like, all my nieces and nephews are half Puerto Rican. So they are.
But it doesn't even just happen in your neighborhoods. It happens in your families. And that's such beautiful things to see, you know. And I love the fact that the world is a huge melting pot. And whether or not people realize it, the U.S. is such a global country, you know. And I love that, you know, because people are always like, America first or blah, 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 blah. We have changed huge amounts in terms of where we see ourselves in the world. We are a global economy. We get most of our stuff overseas and all that stuff. Like, we can't just focus on the U.S. We need to fix the U.S., but we need to also appreciate all the other countries and what they do for us and where we can travel to and just have ethnicity and diversity and heritage diversity, all that stuff. I love it.
I love it too. I wanted to touch on that, what you said, because, you know, now being that we've been definitely in an economic crisis due to the pandemic, you know, we have other countries coming out now. How does it feel that you're not a superpower anymore, US? And they're like getting at us. They're telling us like, oh, you guys were a superpower. You were the United States of America. Now, because of everything that's happened, you know, we are not, I guess they're saying we're not considered a superpower anymore. Like, you know, that's something that we gotta, you know, because I don't know if you've ever been overseas, but it's like when you go out of the United States, they look at us like, they don't like us like that.
Right, right.
They look at us like, it was kind of the feeling I had when I moved from New York. They were like, oh, she's from New York. Like I used to get that a lot when I moved. They're like, you're from New York, aren't you?
You're like, why? What's wrong with that?
I don't know. I don't know. It's like a stigma
It
attached.
is. I know. And that's why I was talking to somebody a few weeks ago. We were talking about French people really hating Americans. They're like, no, they're just really unfriendly in general. It's not just towards Americans. So don't worry, you're going to be hated no matter where you're from when you go over there. But then I hear French people are lovely. So it's like, you never know until you get to experience it. But yeah, tell them to get rid of that stigma. You know, so much of the economy is from the Snowbirds and all that stuff in Florida anyway. So
yes,
you got to embrace it and appreciate that. So
yes, it was very important too, because I considered like myself as kind of like that was my goal. When I moved to Florida, I said, I'm going to have a place in New York and a place in Florida. I'm going to be a snowbird, because I didn't necessarily consider, like when I moved to Florida, I didn't consider myself at a retirement age. You know, people fly down to Florida to retire. And it was always known as the retirement state. Everybody comes down here to retire. But I wanted it to be like, oh, you know, I have my peace and my tranquility when I come to Florida. And then when I'm in New York, I'm hustling, I'm moving, I'm shaking, I'm working. And I work here as well, but I wanted it to be like a snowbird situation. But, you know, that's not always feasible. I mean, I try to do it and make it work as best as I can. But when this whole, like, to go back to the pandemic, when Andrew Cuomo came on and said, look, we really need to take a look at Florida right now, because Florida's not taking this seriously. Shout out to all my friends in Florida. I love you guys. But listen, y'all weren't taking it seriously. You got Clearwater Beach. You were doing this. You were doing that. You were on the beach. People were not taking it seriously. And Florida is like the sixth borough. Like, you got to understand, so many people, like my whole community, most of the people have transplanted from up north or from New York City. So my neighbor here, my neighbor across the street, like all New Yorkers, everybody from New York that moved down here. So yeah, definitely a lot of snowbirds. And that's why it was only a matter of time before it infiltrated.
which is so tough. And it's like, how do you socially distance when you have such beautiful weather and all of these things? And
they don't want to. Look, it's 90 degrees, Katie. I'm outside. Thank God I have a backyard. What could you do but be out in the sun? Look at it. It's gorgeous.
It's way too pretty to be cooped up. I mean, thankfully, the weather's actually been pretty bad here the last couple of months, so I haven't felt the necessity to go out. But now that the weather's starting to turn, things are blooming, I want to get out more. But I also know that I need
to trap.
I have to listen and be like, I need to be respectful of others.
Don't be fooled.
Yep. No, I'm waiting like a little bit longer before I really go out to eat and I go to museums and I do all that stuff. I want to just make sure that COVID's kind of flown away, and hopefully we'll never come back, but we can't guarantee that by the way everything.
I don't know about this one. I mean, I have mixed feelings about everything opening up. I kind of like quarantine a little bit.
Me too, I'm not gonna lie.
I kind of liked it. I kind of enjoyed it just because I was so out and about last year. I was all over the place. I was out almost every other night in New York. So, and I'm somebody that usually enjoys outdoor activities. I go out to eat a lot. I eat out a lot. I cook. I know how to cook, but I love to be in a restaurant. I love a good cocktail. I love to be out mingling with people, and that's just what I do. So, but I was out entirely. Like it was draining after a while, talking to people, networking, and just being out all the time. I'm kind of like introverted and also extroverted. I go from both.
Same way. Yep.
Yeah. So I took this time as I took it as like a good time to like reflect and also just deal with all the other stuff. I did touch on a little bit. We could go into it. I don't have any problem talking about how COVID affected me personally.
I know we talked about the healthcare, and then I was like, wait, I moved into the next question. We didn't talk about your family. So if you'd like to talk about that, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, because it's something that I do. I feel like everything that happens in your life shapes you, and it builds you up to make you stronger. Whatever you go through, any kind of pain or loss you deal with, it shapes how you view life, and it shapes how you go after things that you want. And I think that when you lose people that are close to you, it makes you really reevaluate and refocus on what's important in life. And all those old beefs, all the nonsense, the BS that people go through, it's really irrelevant. It's not important because this life is fleeting.
Absolutely.
Here today, gone tomorrow. You could be gone tomorrow.
I know. And I think the beautiful part about all of this and having the opportunity to do telehealth work and not being in the field right now for you is that you are in a space where you do feel tranquil and you're at peace. Imagine what you would feel like if this hit last year and you were on the front lines in New York, can't see family and loved ones and being stuck.
I was alone.
Yes.
I mean, I had my girlfriends in New York and some family, and to be quite honest with you, not to cut you off, but when I was in New York last year, my first couple of months in New York, I stayed with my uncle and my grandmother, who both have since passed in the last 2 months.
Right. And you'll never have that experience again. So thankfully, while you were up there, I think that was a time for you to be with them, not knowing that huge effect that you just said. You know, everything makes changes in your life and has an impact on your life, good, bad, or indifferent. But that you had that opportunity to be with them and really spend that much time with them. I think, you know, in hindsight, it was meant to happen because unfortunately they both have passed. You know, but now in the state that we're in, you can be surrounded by other family and loved ones in Florida and have that peace of mind, because if you were in New York, you couldn't go outside. You'd probably be stuck in an apartment building unless you were further out in the, you know, in the boroughs to have a home and all of that and be separated. You know, I don't know how people in New York are really thriving, where people right now are getting housebound and antsy and I can't stand my family and this house feels too small. When you're in an apartment building in New York,
yes,
it is the tiniest feeling
you got to utilize
yes.
that fire escape, honey.
Yeah.
That balcony, that I don't know, like, because I have lived in an apartment building before in New York. You know, we didn't always have a house. Like when we had a house, it was 5 of us kids and my parents. So there was a time when we lived in an apartment building. And it was like a lot of kids in one, you know, 3-bedroom apartment. And we didn't have a backyard. So I can only imagine what people are dealing with. And I have a backyard. I have an outdoor space. So I appreciate Florida right now. Yes. You know, I do.
Yes. So imagine just like the mental state that you would be in, whether you're a kid, an adult, or whatever, being in New York right now. You know, so that's why I'm also thankful that you're in Florida right now. You've made
I'm thankful too, girl. I miss my friends. I miss my friends and I miss my family that are still there, but it was one of the best decisions that I had made, and I didn't even know why I was making it. I just missed my family and I just needed to be out of New York. I just felt like I don't want to be here anymore right now.
Right. And whether it was that feeling of the holidays, like Christmas is coming up,
yes.
whatever it is, yes. You had some kind of inkling of, I need to go home. I need to be with my family now.
Right. In the nick of time, girl.
Exactly. I was saying, it ended up paying off.
Express that. My spidey senses kicked in and was like, Judy, get the hell out of here.
Yes. Yes. No, but it was meant to be. It was meant to be. So drink to that, please.
Yes. Happy Cinco in my backyard. Stay home. Stay safe, y'all.
Hashtag alone together or whatever they're doing. All right. So are you ready? I'm going to pull up a question or two for random question time.
Woo. Let me get ready, girl.
All right. All right.
Because your questions are funny.
All right. Good. I'm happy because I just randomly Googled these. I was like, random questions to ask. So, all right. Let's see. So what is the stupidest thing that you've ever done because somebody dared you to do it?
Oh God, I do a lot of stupid things that people dare me to do. Dang it. What the hell? God, something dumb like prank call a guy that I like.
Okay.
Stupid.
You still do that now? No, just kidding.
No, I can't do that now, but yeah.
I'm teasing.
Or like an ex-boyfriend, like prank them, pretend like right. Let me not tell on myself.
I know, I'm kidding, but right now in 2020, we don't even have to prank call. We make a Finsta, you know, that fake Instagram page.
Yeah.
We stock so many different avenues. Kids now don't understand what it's like to prank or call somebody like *69 private.
Yes.
Or whatever.
They don't even know what that is.
Yeah, they have no concept. All right, so let me see. All right, so that was a good one. And then let me see what else I have. All right, so if you were given the chance to change your name, what would your new name be?
Oh my God, you know, it's so funny. I love my name, Judy. It's so common, but I love Juju. But I would do something more exotic or ethnic.
Joe Exotic?
I think I would do something more ethnic, like something more French. Maybe like I don't know, like a name like Mona.
Oh, all right.
Mona.
Well, you still got to keep with those sexy 4 letters.
Mona is a 4-letter word and it's sexy.
Yes. Yes.
It's a 4-letter word and it's sexy, girl.
Okay, so I'm going to paint you and I'm going to call it the Mona Judy.
Mona Judy? Okay.
Instead of the Mona Lisa, we got the Mona Judy. You'll be hanging up in all of the important museums around the world. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I can mess with that.
Yes. All right. Perfect. So speaking of your name, tell us what your social media name is, where to find you, how we go about tuning in once your page gets all started up or your channel gets started up.
Yeah, so we did discuss I'm starting a podcast / on the scene show. The name I'm not going to release just yet because like I said, you know, we're going to talk about that later, but you can follow the hashtag just Juju, which is JUST Juju, JU, my name, Juju, JU. I need to learn how to spell my own name. JU. Hashtag just Juju. You can follow that hashtag because I've been hashtagging that on my posts. And my Instagram right now is at JujuBees_100. So it's JujuBees, JU, B's and boy, Z's and zebra _100 because I like to keep it 100.
Yes, girl. Yes. Perfect. So anybody that's tuning in, please go follow her, follow that hashtag, keep up with her and all her fun stuff that she has cooking. And thank you for taking the time to chat today. I really appreciate it.
Katie, thanks for having me. Thank you for asking me. I loved it. And you're amazing.
So are you.
Yes,
that's why I'm happy to have this opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. All right. And you'll come back soon and visit us?
Yes, of course.
Right.
We're going to do this again and again and again. I love this.
Good. This will be a rotating thing. I'm like, you got to keep us looped in on what you have going on. So
definitely. All right, everybody. Happy Cinco.
Thank you.
If you can stay home, stay home.
And then let me drink my water.
Yeah, drink your water.
Cheers.
Yeah, this is about it. That's all I'm gonna have for today. I don't really want anything else.
That's good. You're all set. All right. Thanks, Juju. Take care.